Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next movie review for Halloween month. And and next I'll be reviewing of the sequel that came out this year, The Meg 2: The Trench. So it's a sequel to The Meg that came out in 2018, starring Jason Statham, which he comes back for as Jonas Taylor. Now, Meg 2: The Trench. Well, I can kind of say for the first film, I did like. I thought they could have done a bit more in the third act, and especially with the beach, I think they could have had the Meg do more carnage, eating more people, I think they could have done a little bit more with that though. But I think Jason Statham was good. I liked how, once again, a little bit different. Instead of just typically having the shark explode, and just so try cutting in to almost disemboweling and allow the other sharks to feed on it. Okay, that's a bit different. Oh, and also a badass moment where he just stabs it right in the eye with the spear. Okay. But I think they could have done a bit more, in the third act, having the shark, eat more people, do more damage and stuff, right? But, this film, The Trench, maybe I could say, well, I could probably say the third act I did like a bit more than the first film, the third act. Because I had a little bit more fun to add more fun to it in the third act, but the first half of this film was it was very boring, to say the least. The first half of the first Meg movie was better than the first half of this movie, if you get what I mean. Because the first half of this film, like I said, it was so boring. I'm a film that's about the Meg, it sure had a little bit less about the Meg. It was more about the human bad guys. Which, do they really need to throw human bad guys in a film about the Meg? At least credit to the first movie. It was about a Meg, not some human bad guys. So. I still think the first film I think is a bit better, well, especially for the first half. And then the third act of this movie, I thought I had more fun than the last one. So, but I think this film because of the boring first half of the movie, I think that's why I like this film just okay. Sad to say, maybe did not love it. Although I do not hate the movie, though, but just so boring for the first. Although I can say this right off the bat, I will easily say I like this a lot better than The Flash or Indiana Jones 5 or Beau is Afraid. I could definitely say I like this film much better than those movies, because those films just piss me off, And also, I think it's a much better movie than another horror film, which I'll get to after this review. There's another horror film that got praise from critics, which I'm sorry, I think is over. That film was overrated. Which I'll get into that movie though, but I still say that the Meg 2 is much better than that movie. So that the next one I'll get into the review of though. Then Beau is Afraid, Indiana Jones 5, and The Flash, especially The Flash. I can still say the Meg 2 I would rather watch than any of those movies, easily. And as for the film, for the critical reception, critics, the score was much more lower than the first film. I will still say it managed to make close to 400 million worldwide. It made about, as of right now, 700. No, sorry, that's too much. 376 million worldwide. It's still much lower than the 537 million than the first film did, but it still managed to make although not domestically in the U.S., it made almost 80 million in the U.S. though, compared to its Oh, almost $130 million budget though, but still worldwide, you can say it was passable. You know, you can say it was passable as a success. And as for the film itself, like I said, it's based on a book. It's a sequel. It's based on one of the sequels to the book, The Trench, of the Meg series. And the director, I'm not too familiar with, Ben Wheatley. I'm not too familiar with this director. So, if when it comes to action or scariness, I think this guy needs to work on that a little bit more. I do not. One thing I did not mind was the opening where it took place during the dinosaurs. You know, we have this T-Rex at the beach and on the shore, right? It gets some creatures, and then all of a sudden the Meg comes out, just pops up and just grabs that T-Rex and just drags it to its watery grave, basically. Which, of course, is supposed to be a nod to. If you look online, you can find a picture of one of the hardcovers of the book series. You can see a hardcover picture of a Meg eating a T-Rex. So it's supposed to be like a nod to the front cover of that. Which I'm like, okay, I did not mind the look. I mean, did not mind the opening of that, of the Meg eating a T-Rex. As for visuals, you know, especially when they go down into the trench, you see all these bright, like in the first movie, all these bright colors of how it was underwater during that far below into the, you can say, into the abyss, you can say, but it's a trench though. But when they get down there, it's like a little more bright colors, visually good looking, I would say. But the first half of this movie is just like, okay. It opens with Jason Statham. He's doing this, he's on this boat, from trying to take photographs and evidence of the ship of these people like dumping barrels of toxic waste into the ocean. He gets the pictures, the evidence he needs. He gets little fights with a couple of guys, which is nothing to run home about though. Then he jumps to the water, later to be rescued by Cliff Curtis, who was in the previous movie as Mac. He comes back. And I like Cliff Curtis as an actor too, which that film right behind me, as I mentioned a lot of times, he was in Deep Rising. He was in the fourth Die Hard film, Live Free or Die Hard, as Agent Bowman. He was in Collateral Damage. He was one of the bad guys in Collateral Damage with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Of course, later starred in the first two seasons of Fear the Walking Dead and died at the beginning of the third season, sad to say, which that still pissed me off. I'm like, jeez, that you just did that to Cliff Curtis. Jeez, screw you, Fear the Walking Dead. I love Cliff Curtis. I like Cliff Curtis as an actor. I thought he had more fun with Jason Statham. The banter between him and Jason Statham more in the first film. I think he had a little more fun with him and Jason Statham in this film. Paige Kennedy, he was the comedic black guy from the first movie. He comes back as well as the character DJ. And what I liked about him, I would say he was more prepared in this movie than he was in the last movie. I guess, learning from, because this film he learned to swim. Like he said in the first one, he couldn't swim. So he learned just how to swim. He was more prepared. He carries a gun, some other stuff, with them. So at least he's more prepared in this movie because he learned from his experience in the last movie. And so then the little girl who was the little girl that was in the first movie, she comes back. She's more grown up now, and by this time her mom from the previous movie, she's dead now because I think it was an accident or something. I forget. So Jason Statham's kind of like looking after her, but also that she has her uncle, her mom's brother. Her mom's brother is also taking care of her as well, and the uncle, they have this oceanographic institute where they have this one female Meg that's they have in captivity, but it goes by the name of Hachi, and the uncle, he's kind of like training with the Meg, have this little clicker button, right? Like how Chris Pratt in the first Jurassic World, how he's training raptors, he has this little clicker thing to get their attention, that. It's kind of like the guy has kind of like the same thing like that in here to train it, and he's in the water trying to make sure that it doesn't go after him, but he's training it. And so, and then the guy who plays the uncle, I thought I did not mind him. I thought he was pretty decent as well. Sometimes I did, sometimes due to his accent, I think it was kind of hard to understand him sometimes. But I think the guy I did not mind him. I thought the guy who played the uncle was decent. So they learn there are these bad guys because they have to have human bad guys in a film called The Meg, which hurts the movie from during the first half because you have to focus on these human bad guys more than the Meg themselves. So they take two subs down there down into the trench. Jason Statham's on one sub, the uncle's on another sub, right? And they found these bad guys. They find the bad guys are harvesting these rare materials, and they get shot at. Their subs are damaged, and they have to go walk to point A to point B to this underwater station. And just the whole time when they're walking through this trench, it felt like it just ran on for like about 20 minutes at a snail's pace. It really was that slow. So, yeah, it really was such a boring. Like the first half of this was boring, like I said, so slow. And so, but one guy gets attacked by a giant octopus, which, of course, they gotta throw one of those in there because 3 meg is not enough because there's 3 of them, right? Now they gotta throw in a giant octopus, so they're trying to be like a better version of from the shitty sci-fi film Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus from back then, 15 or so years ago? Maybe more than that, I think. It has to be like 15 or so years ago. So yeah, I'll watch that. I can say I do like this better than any of those shitty sci-fi creature feature films like those movies. Because at least this film had more of a budget on CGI, while sci-fi had crappy sci-fi CGI. So, but the girl, she sneaks up over with us. So she's with Jason Statham. Sorry. So they're walking. One guy dies from a giant octopus, and they're almost to the station where the Meg. Well, they get attacked by these other creatures. They're kind of like bigger versions of Gila monsters. That's why I saw them. They look like bigger versions of Gila monsters. And so by the time they get there, I mean, one woman just couldn't make it along for another 10 more seconds because gets down below at that pressure because her mask, her helmet, her glass helmet was damaged, so it was cracking. But they're still under during that pressure. It was too late. Her glass broke and her face pretty much got crushed due to the pressure of being down there. And so there's this, and they had to deal with this bad guy who I guess Jason Statham's character did in the past, right? Because the guy remembered him. And then they got to throw another bad guy, which this woman who worked for the Oceanographic Institute. Apparently she's a bad guy too. We didn't need to have bad guys in this film. We didn't. But so let's see when they get trapped, because there was another bad guy that was with them back at the station with Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy. There's this one girl who was also among the bad guys. They sabotaged because they were going to go down there themselves, but she sabotaged their sub. So the one girl who was in charge of the whole entire thing, has this one woman to hold him at gunpoint to try to kill him, but she doesn't do it. Of course, she's a good guy. Of course, she doesn't do it though. So they get trapped there. And then Jason Statham has the idea to swim out to go on this one other side of the station. I guess the pressure of being down there doesn't affect you as long as you hold your breath for a certain amount of seconds. You're fine, I guess. No need to worry about pressure of getting crushed by the pressure for being down there. As long as you hold your breath for about 40 or so seconds, Jason Statham is totally fine. So, but he gets the one side. He fights that one bad guy, which stupid thing this guy does. He knocks Jason Statham out, but he doesn't shoot him. I'm like, you have him knocked out. You have the opportunity to kill him, but yet you wait till he wakes up and then he beats you. I'm like, you should have shot him when he had the chance when he was knocked out. Why did you have to wake him up to do so? You're an idiot. But one thing leads to another. They get out of there. They get out of there, and they make it back to the station. Meanwhile, Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy, they hold their own up there, which is get some nice funny moments between Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy. But then the Jason Statham managed to row themselves back to that station and meet with the Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy. They get out of there, and then that one girl that betrayed them, she gets eaten. It's what you saw in the trailer, right? She's like, saying, "Oh, this place is Meg proof," and she's on her phone trying to talk, like a selfie talk, right? And then all of a sudden the Meg comes up from behind, crashes through the window, and eats her. That's what you saw in the trailer. This is where ultimately the film kind of makes it up for me with this third act, where there's this island it literally is called Fun Island. Yeah, it literally is called Fun Island, where the Megs they're attacking, except for the one the train one named Hachi. But he gets some fun moments where the Meg does eat a couple more people. Like there's this couple on one of those pedal boats, right? Eats those. And then you get this cool POV shot where it's inside the shark's mouth and people are going inside. They're trying to escape, but they're getting sucked inside the shark's mouth. You get a POV shot from inside the mouth as the mouth is chomping down on people, and people are being inside the shark's mouth. You see from that inside POV shot. Okay, it's a nice, good camera or visual look to it, And so then also those Gila monsters they can not only they swim, but they can run on land too. And then whether there's the octopus comes out, attacks people. You get a nice moment where Jason Statham he's on a jet ski and he takes one arrow they've rigged with explosives. He throws out one, blows that one Meg up in the head. Okay, that was nice. Jason Statham taking out one Meg. And with Cliff Curtis and everyone else are on land because those Gila monsters are on the land. And also dealing with the mercenaries as well. Along with an octopus that's attacking people too. And you get the same dog from the first movie named Pippin. Which why it's the same dog, because the woman is calling it Pippin like it was the same dog from the first movie and they call it Pippin. So as soon as it's the same dog from the first movie. And you get some, as I said, I thought it was making up, the fun part made up more, this third act made up for the rest of the movie. Where you have, though of course the lead bad guy, the lead woman, she gets attacked by a Gila monster and she gets dragged. Not much. The rest of mercenaries, they tried Cliff Curtis and else tried to take this bag they use as explosive. The bad guys get attacked by the Gila monsters, but they end up shooting the gas tank and it explodes. The other bad guy that tries to kill Jason Statham has a fight with Jason Statham. Like he starts shooting, and then you get this fun moment of with Jason Statham where he sees the Meg coming towards them, right? And he says, "Oh, I don't need this gun." And he goes and kicks the guy as the shark jumps. The Meg jumps out of the water. Jason Statham kicks the guy right into the shark's mouth, and he says, "See ya, chum." I did like that. It was very satisfying for that bad guy when he kicks the guy and just falls right into the shark's mouth as it pops up. That was pretty cool. And of course, it was like, "See ya, chum." Yeah, I get the reference. Then try to get the octopus. Try to deal with this octopus. And Cliff Curtis is flying the helicopter along with the uncle, but he gets out. He jumps down as the helicopter goes down due to the octopus. But Cliff Curtis, he's alive. At least he did not die in this film. Usually when they bring characters back, from previous either sequels or franchises, they usually kill him off. Here, at least, I'm glad they didn't kill off Cliff Curtis or Paige Kennedy, or the little girl. And then Jason Statham kills the other big Meg. Yeah, I can say it's over the top and non-realistic, but you know what? In this instance, I was having fun with the moment where he's trying to rescue Cliff Curtis, who is damaged in the damaged helicopter. He's trapped. He makes some noise to get the Big Meg to follow his noise, right? And he used a part of a helicopter blade. As soon as it pops up, he sticks it right inside its mouth, and then the rest of the big metal part comes out through the top of its head. I'm like, ooh, okay. So guess what? That's another way instead of just blowing it up, you know. Well, yeah, he blew up. Well, he didn't fully blow up the first Mega with the spear arrow. He just kind of just blew up its head, a little bit of its head, you know. He didn't fully blow it to pieces. That's what I'm trying to say. But it was different. Okay, he uses a part of a helicopter blade and it pierces through its upper mouth and up through the top of its head. Okay, cool way. You know, shows that Jason Statham shows he can be badass too. Yeah, I can say it's over the top, unrealistic, but I was having fun in that moment. And so then you have Hachi left, which the uncle uses the thing once again to train it, you know, for it to... I was surprised if it was trying to do this, you know, like how what they do in Jurassic World with the raptors, you know. Stand down, stand down. So, Hachi doesn't attack the uncle, just goes and swims away. And they said they know that the Hachi is pregnant, so it can give birth to, like, more Megs. But I guess they're not thinking about that right now. They're just too busy thinking that they're alive, and they just killed other more big threats, right? So I guess they're not thinking about that at the moment, having more Megs running loose. And Paige Kennedy, he does get a final shot where one giant Gila monster goes after not the little girl, but the other girl that was with them. He shoots it with his gun. Okay, kills one. At least he wasn't totally useless. At least he did some certain stuff. And so, and with Hachigan, there's supposed to be a lead up to a sequel, which they say depends on the box office of this film. They may be able to try to do another sequel because this is a book series after all. But the Meg 2, The Trench, okay. The first half, it was so boring, though the action scenes were, other than what Jason Statham would do to kick the guy into the shark's mouth, that was cool to see. There wasn't much action, you know, there wasn't. The human bad guys were lame. Not much happens during the first half. I mean, the whole time when they were walking underwater to get to the station, it felt like it was going on for like about 20 minutes longer at a snail's pace. At least Jason Statham, acting-wise, he was fine. Did what he had to do. Cool to see Cliff Curtis again. It was fun to see him talking between him and Jason Statham. It was more fun than they were in the first movie. The guy who played the uncle, I thought he did fine too. I did not mind him either. It's too bad that the Barracuda wasn't playing in this movie like it was like it did for the first trailer, you know, when it came out. You know, I like Barracuda from the band Heart. You know, ooh, Barracuda, down 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 down. It's too bad that wasn't on the movie because I would like to heard that. Like when the first title shows at the beginning. At first, I was the tone of the sound. I felt like I was hearing Ice Baby Ice from Vanilla Ice, which I'm like, great. This film, that's what this film needs, a Vanilla Ice song, which I'm not a fan of Vanilla Ice. To me, I'm not a fan of him at all. But that's not the case. The song was during the title was called Under Pressure. I think it was called Under Pressure, or was it the band? I forget, but it was called Under Pressure. Which I think, okay, at least it's not Vanilla Ice. Yeah, sorry how I was. Cut that covered there. But visually, like the bright colors, the show in the underground during the trench, all the stuff, you know, the bright colors. Visually, I thought was good looking. Well, the same on the effects on the Megs too, as well. I thought it was cool for Jason Statham. You know, how he did one with the Meg in the first movie. Here, he takes a blade and sticks it through the upper mouth and until it comes out of its head. That was a cool moment for Jason Statham, how he takes out the Meg. Or he does take another one with the spear bomb. And then ultimately the having the giant octopus getting eaten by the other Megs. But that's what I said. The first half of this movie just dragged on. It was boring. The action sequences were not much to run home about. They're like basically run of the mill and short. The human bad guys were lame, like I said. They did not need to be put in this movie. But at least the third act of the film made up for that. You know, with the at least you know what the POV shot of people going into the shark's mouth or killing more people. You know, on those pedal boats, doing more damage. I would probably say at least the third act of that film made up for it. But I did not make me love the film because of the boring first act. That's why I say the first one I thought was a bit better than the first one. But like I said, I can still watch this sequel over over The Flash or Indiana Jones 5 or Beau is Afraid. Those films just piss me off more. Here I can watch it, especially for the third act, as dumb, fun, creature feature finale, right? But I think the film did not need to be 2 hours long. I think that's why. I think could have cut some certain things out of it. And I think the director needed to work on doing more horror-themed or action sequences, you know. I don't think this guy was not the right director for that, though, but... But anyway, overall, I can say it was okay. I didn't hate the movie, but... Like I said, it was the first half. It was just so boring, you know. I mean, just like it just took a lot of it out of it, though. But at least it didn't piss. Like I said, it didn't piss me off like all the ones I've seen this year, like the worst ones I've seen. Now, this would not be in my top 10, though. It won't be my top 10 best, and it's not even my top 10 worst. So, is this a rant? I want to say I want to put this as a slash rant, you know, because it's like the third act of the film I did like. I had dumb fun with the movie, like a fun creature feature movie, but it was just a boring first half of this movie. It was just dragging on. It was just dragged on, you know. And like I said, I'm just repeating myself. I've already told about this stuff before. I'm already talking about this stuff, so I'm just repeating myself now. But yeah, the Meg 2. The Trench. Like I said, yeah, I'll probably suppose it's a slash run because there's half of this film is a negative on, but there's also the same half of the film I'm positive on. But I don't hate the movie. I think it's just okay though. But like I said, I'm not too enthused about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm just in the middle of it. But it just wasn't. It maybe not. Because I was looking forward to this, you know, because I liked from the trailer and with Barracuda playing, you know, but because the thing is because in the trailer they left out the human bad guys as a thing. They left out the human bad guys, so it make it seem it was more of a Meg movie than it led on, right? So a little bit of deceiving right there, though. But yeah, I mean, Meg 2, The Trench. I'm just like, it was okay best, but is it a more thinking about is it a rant or is it just a movie review? That's why I put as a slash rant because I'm both mixed on both. So, but I also think that I thought the first film was overall. I'll say the first film was better, but this film, like I said, it didn't piss me off more than the ones I've seen this year. It's a lot better than those, believe me. But yeah, at least I could watch it. I still watch it for Jason Statham kicking Meg ass like he did in the first film he did. But it was cool to see Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy. He held their own again. The little girl, I thought she did a decent job, as well as the uncle. Did not mind him either. But anyway, just yeah. But if you like the film, I understand the negative for this film. I understand, you know, I do understand the negative for this film. I would definitely say though, but I think the guy was a wrong choice to direct the film. I think it was the guy with the wrong choice. But we'll see if they make money. I'm sorry that they'll make another sequel because if this was successful enough, because there is more books in this series, you know. But we'll see though. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Meg 2: The Trench. you know, 50-50, I would say. 50-50. But is it slash rants? We'll see. Well, of course you will see, because it's the title. It's on the title of the video, so when you clicked onto it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more to come in Halloween month. And we'll see you next time. Later.